Well, you've read the book. Most people have. Everything I've ever learned in life, I learned in kindergarten. Well, everything I learned in life or about life, I learned in hockey. And I would not tell you, I would not lie to you, I would tell you the truth. It is the greatest educator a person, a player, a young man could have, because it has every element of life. It has success, it has failure, it has challenges, it has all kinds of different personalities. Um, it requires you to grow up and take responsibilities. It requires you to deal with people. It requires everything in life. You, everything in life I learned through hockey, and I'm very thankful for that. Very thankful. They could never have taught me any. They could never have taught me the great majority of this in a book. You just can't go to school and learn this stuff. The people you meet. Gordie Howe's greatest line, one of his great things that stick with me, is that there isn't anybody, truly anybody in this world you can't learn something from. Doesn't matter if he's the president of the company or a homeless guy in the street. You can learn from everybody. If you think about that, it is so true. So you pay attention when you play hockey. You know, you learn a lot of things. I unfortunately have forgotten more things than I remember, but every now and then something happens or something said, and it just brings me right back to a moment that, you know, reflects on my life. Absolutely. Oh yeah. You know, there isn't. Yeah. Would I change it? No. But physically, yeah. But you know, it's about taking care of yourself. You know, one of the common denominators for most of the guys, most, not all, most of the guys, we don't work out anymore. We don't go near gyms. And the reason that people say, well, you should work out. You know, we did it for a living. We didn't do it as a hobby. And I don't have a mindset to pick something up like that and do it as a hobby. I would be fearful of getting right back into it like I did when I played. And I'm not prepared to do that. But you watch your weight. You know, you learn moderation. Life's about moderation, and but you pay for it. I mean, there isn't. You know, I've had 3 knee surgeries. I've had wrist surgery. I've had 2 shoulder surgeries. I've had abdomen surgery. I've broken numerous bones in my face, in my hands, my elbows, my knees, my feet, my hips. But I go to the doctor. I have a good friend who's a doctor of mine, a friend of mine, and I stay ahead of everything. And I know what I can't and what I can do. And as long as I do that, yeah, it's okay so far. Twice a week, with a good group of buddies of mine, Winnipeg clubs, we raise money for charity. It's all good fun. The ice time is irrelevant. It's the camaraderie. We have a clubhouse that we go to after for beers and pretzels and cheese and watch the TV. But I do have a rule when I skate, and that is no sweating is allowed. And if I do start sweating, I stop skating. I go sit down. So I'm a master of efficiency. If I'm working too hard, I'm not on the ice anymore. I go sit down, and I can play pretty much a whole game without breathing hard or working up a sweat, and laugh the whole time I'm doing it. Let me tell you about a couple things. I'm always surprised at how we don't give our hockey people in Manitoba any regard. This province has incredible history. Guys who've played at the NHL level, the highest level there is. They've won Stanley Cups. We've had coaches in this province who played different levels. I think of Nick Hill. Outstanding coaches. Don't get a whole lot of regard. And I find that a little bit perturbing. I think the hockey history in this province is second to none. It's exceptional. And yet I don't think the populace of this province gives it as much regard as it deserves. We have a history here that is dying away. Some of the old guard. We've lost some incredible. I mean, you think of Billy Mosienko, a record that'll never be broken. Lived in our backyard his whole life, and others. And you go to other provinces, and that is incredibly well regarded and treated with kit gloves, so to speak. And my experience in this province is it's not always that way. And I think that's a disappointment because we don't realize just how good we have it here with these type of players. And I'm not saying you have to idolize them or anything, but I think you need to respect the fact that they made the highest level of hockey there is. Some excelled exceptionally well, but just to get there is no easy task. And I think that there's a wealth of knowledge in all those players that doesn't get the wherewithal that it deserves. Let me talk about how innovative and hockey's become so structured it's disappointing because we don't allow creativity anymore. That's my opinion. I think creativity is not as well regarded anymore. It's significantly too structured. That's my opinion. Nick Hill was an innovator, and Carl Kaiser was his assistant coach. I learned more bad words from those two men than anybody else in my life, and I loved every minute of it because Nick and Carl devised a system. We were all 16 and 17-year-olds playing against 20 and 21-year-olds, and we did well. We lost out in the playoffs because we weren't physically big enough, and that the older guys, the 20, 21-year-olds, finally figured out a way to beat us, and that was to catch us and hit us. And basically, we couldn't compete physically. But when it came to the game, Nick was so innovative. We played a Russian style. We played with 2 wingers, a stopper, and 2 defensemen. And he had us rotating and moving and skating, and I can distinctly remember listening in Kenora, Ontario, to the broadcast team who sat between the bench trying to radio broadcast the game to the people of Kenora. They didn't know what was going on. You could just tell they were confused by player changes. When you change one guy, maybe 2 guys, maybe this guy, it wasn't the traditional 3 guys on a line and 2 defense. Most fun I ever had playing up to that point in my life because Nick let us all play, skate, work hard. We had assignments, we had responsibilities, and we were up-tempo the whole time. And he was one of the biggest influences in my career. I don't think I would have made I know I wouldn't have made Flin Flon Bombers without my year with Nick Hill. And there was a number of guys who probably would say the same thing, that went on and played. Nick was that big an influence. And then when I got to Flin Flon, Mickey Keating came up, and Mickey's a Winnipeg guy. Member of the Manitoba Hockey Hall of Fame, played with the Warriors here, but he played in the States quite a bit, in Minneapolis and so on and so forth. Another guy that was so innovative, just thought outside the box. And when you do that, you excite people, you excite players, and you create the opportunity for players to try things, experiment. Mickey brought that to Flin Flon, and he allowed us to play. Yes, we had structure, don't get me wrong, but he didn't stifle creativity. He encouraged in creativity, and we had a lot of fun that last couple of years with Mickey. And then when you turn pro, and you find out most of the good coaches, I think, at the pro level are what we call player coaches. Player coaches are players or coaches who may have in their day been a player, but they treat the players with respect, where they let them play a little bit more freer, let them play outside the box a little bit, be more creative. I always say to friends, just because you're a coach at a high level doesn't mean you're a good coach. You can get anybody to play inside your box if you put them in that box. The good coaches let you play in the box and outside the box. There's certain ways to play. And again, I think we've had a plethora of really good coaches come through here that allow kids to explore their creativity. I think of Bruce Southern. I've watched him over the years, another member of the Manitoba Hockey Hall of Fame. Lets the kids think outside the box. It's important. So I just want to, comment about how fortunate I was to have a couple of coaches who allowed me to think outside the box and challenged me to be a better player. And for that, I thank them.